看呢，可以说两边在初期一直稳定着局势，但是在10分钟左右的时候，上路瞬间开花。但与此同时的是，中路和下路也完成了这样一个线上的击杀，导致一波伪团灭之后，老干爹牢牢把握了战场上的局势，最终是赢得了比赛的胜利。
对，老干爹这个团灭对手的时机把握得非常好，3条线之间互相没有沟通过，突然之间。
All right, hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome back to the LPL English coverage brought to you by Gosu Gamers and Games in Asia. And we have overcome a few technical difficulties, and we'll be bringing you the second game of LGD versus World Lead Academy. Froskrin, thank you once again for taking over on that. Whoa, those are some serious shots. Oh my god, Real Grill? Oh, where?
话说这个选手他的名字是上面一个明，下面一个空，这字怎么念？我不认识。赵，念赵。好，我差点就念他徐明空。
所以你可以叫他那个雅府。
什么？那个什么？
娃娃，你不要在这装，我知道你也不认识。
木棍，
这字还蛮生僻的。
我就觉得教练就是那种在那个学校里面说木棍来了没有？对不起老师，我叫林坤。
And yeah, Frosk, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I think you actually might be muted out on the input portion of the stream.
Fantastic.
But hey guys, she was actually just summing up the last end of the game for you, and I'll sum up what she summed up, and then it's kind of like zipping a zip file. You get like even more pixelated bits, but it's the good kind. So basically, LGD took their lead to its pretty much logical end and just brute forced their way to victory in this first game. World Lead Academy now definitely down in the dumps after a game like that, but they will have another chance to redeem themselves. Remember, this is a 2-set for circuit points, not a best of 3, so the best result they can get is a 1-1 for this week. However, it could also end in a 2-0 for LGD, and that's something that that team would very much want to prove that they can really compete at the top tier. If they can take off World Elite Academy, they can beat a team that is very hyped. They can probably well, they could brag about that for a little while.
Biggest change up here, of course, is the teams are going to be switching sides. So LGD had blue side last time, which really just meant that they had first pick. Of course, that Lee Sin we talk about over and over again, coming in as that first pick again for Chuan there. This time, World Elite Academy in the driver's seat for the first pick. So we'll see if Chuan will get his Lee Sin pick again. Also had a fantastic showing of 17's Yasuo. Came up huge on that double kill in the top lane on a tower dive. So expect to see that possibly banned.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and guess that they're not going to allow Xuan anywhere near Lee Sin this game. And I think they know that that's going to happen. I really would guess that they just ban him out just preemptively. Just say, hey, let's not even try to fight over this. Just a non-aggression pact. I was really, really impressed by the level of cool-headedness that LGD displayed in what was probably the longest Baron bait that I have ever seen.
Effectively, what LGD just wanted is they wanted a team fight. World Elite Academy, we talked about how their composition had such fantastic disengage between Nami and Syndra, of course that long-range stun onto the tidal wave, that they needed to force an engagement. And when your map gets pushed down so quickly and so effectively, and what I mean by that is all these towers now in the current meta, because it's roam and so objective heavy, they go down really quickly. That was only like a 35-minute game, and you effectively had what would usually be like a 50-minute Lucian build because so much gold came in so quickly to these teams, partly because they were pushing down towers so quickly, which then opens up the map. So there's a lot of room to run, there's a lot of room to chase. And when you have Syndra and Nami, again, that disengage, it's very hard to lock down an enemy team. By forcing the Baron, they forced World League Academy to show up.
And it really brought them out of kind of their hidey hole that they were trying to keep the turtle going, and they were really depending on that later game scenario that just really never materialized. I didn't actually get the exact time the game ended, but it looked to be about, what was it, 33, 34 minutes?
It was a relatively quick game. At 29 minutes, they were knocking on...
I was totally off. I can't math, guys.
They were knocking on inhibitors, so it went pretty quick.
Yeah, so and that's the kind of game that LG likes to play. They're very lightning, aggressive early, and even if Xuan does not get his Lee Sin pick this game, expect him to be on a very big playmaking jungler. I think he might pick up maybe at least this time.
It tends to be kind of the go-to. Kha'Zix, of course, a big thing, but the rise of Rengar, obviously, Insect bringing that in the first showing that Starhorn made, has seen a little bit of success across the board. Alan played Rengar the other day in OMG's match. Didn't go as well as he had planned, but he did get a fantastic Baron steal.
And well, going into this next matchup, what do you have to do differently as World Elite this time? What do you think are the keys to World Elite Academy taking this next game over LGD?
They emphasize so much that they need to win lane to win the game, because they don't really have the coordination to excel in late game team fighting, obviously bringing in a new captain, things like that. And they picked champions that don't ramp up until late game. You had Kog'Maw, you had Jax, which was a little bit funny because that naturally makes your lane phase incredibly weak. Woolite talks about how Kog'Maw really doesn't get a power spike until level 6, obviously with his ultimate, kind of very much how Corki levels up in that lane. But I mean, I'm just like super shocked that they didn't go for Lucian, that they decided to go for late carries when so much of their strategy is emphasized on winning that lane matchup. So I expect to see Lucian picked up by them this time. I expect to see much stronger laners and much quicker aggression.
And to pinpoint a couple of possible weak points, we saw GA go for the Syndra pick, and it seemed like a really good idea at the time. It certainly played pretty well in the roam game, but very surprisingly lost lane against an Orianna. Seems a bit troubling.
I wouldn't say he lost the lane so much as the fact that Wayless refused to fight Xie there, which we commented during the game was a fantastic strategy call. Literally, the Orianna-Syndra matchup does not favor Orianna there. She can, I mean, she's not as squishy as other mages, obviously, because she has her superficial tankiness with her E, that shield there, but she decided to double up on the jungle and kind of follow around Chuan and just pick up free farm.
Yep, and it really did work out a lot better by just not allowing the dives to happen, not allowing any advantages whatsoever to go in favor of World Elite Academy. And it just seemed like they had this really interesting off-again, on-again kind of engage strategy. They roamed together extremely well on LGD. They went up in like 2 and 3 pairs. There's a lot of really crazy early game action as well, and I think it really threw off the rhythm. The laning phase was just completely non-standard because of that.
Definitely, and we see the players now getting set up here, putting on their headsets. We should be heading into picks and bans relatively quickly. I would like to see picks and bans go better than is pretty typical of China. I feel like their picks ban stage is very underdeveloped. Oh, but World Elite doesn't even have their headsets on, so I have a feeling it's going to be quite a while. Not sure why there are so many technical issues across the board for this set.
Yeah, it's almost unusual how many it is, but you know, these things do happen. They can come and go, and they're still trying to sort all of it out, but at least it happens before the games go down. The last thing you want is your crucial Baron interrupted by a game-breaking bug, right?
Riot, rematch please. Aatrox bug.
Yeah, oh jeez. Please,
too
those are bad
too
memories.
soon?
Way too soon.
Okay.
Gambit always in my hearts.
Gambit's not even playing this week. I think we have a completely different roster. I think it's NIQ.
No, that is, yeah, Nick is literally the only person who was able to make it over to London there. Speaking of issues, it's not technical difficulties, it's that one's bureaucratic difficulties, the visa issues that people have been facing. And actually, speaking of visa issues too, one of our fellow casters, Broken Shard, you know, had a bit of experience with that as well, and you know, almost it's troubling, even though there is a lot of progress being made for
esports.
Yeah, for esports players to really be getting these, I believe they're like called P1 or S1 sports visas.
Yeah, they use official sports visas.
Which is pretty cool, but there are so many problems between the countries, and you wouldn't expect it in certain ones. It almost always is like an issue. I believe back in StarCraft, the StarCraft scene, there's a lot of Chinese players that have trouble flying out to certain events as well, and it just creates a whole lot of havoc for these events. But hey, it looks like we're in picks and bans finally. We
are in the picks and bans, which means that you and I are synced up, which is fantastic. And right out of the gate, we do see that Yasuo ban that we were talking about, 17, subbing in for Star for LGD's top lane today. Had a fantastic performance, is not going to get that again, and the Lee Sin ban coming out from LGD. So they know Chuan's not going to get it, you're not going to get it either.
If Xuan can't have it,
no one can.
Blind Monk. It's not happening. Now Thresh also banned out away, and LeBlanc, something we didn't touch on as much. LeBlanc played very popularly in China as a support pick, so emphasizing a lot of support picks in the very beginning of that ban phase.
I do definitely think that is a mid LeBlanc. Yes, it is. It has been played in the support position,
right.
But Lulu,
mid lanes.
Kassadin and Lulu going to be your final picks, but that does leave Braum open, and right away, World Elite Academy. Oh, there it goes.
They knew exactly what they wanted there, so a pretty solid choice. And whoa, we're gonna see a ribbon. Are you sure this isn't Star now?
My sources are telling me on the sidelines that it's not Star, that it is 17. It's a different player.
You can play Riven just as well. And a Jarvan hover. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a little bit of silliness that they were pulling out there as they swap over to the Lucian. And yeah, picking Braum up, it leaves open the top 80 carry pick. And, well, LGD not going to hesitate to snap that one up.
I think this is actually really smart from LGD. We were just kind of insulting their picks and bans phase. World League Academy, again, we talked about how they would have to pick up a lane-dominating champions to really come back from this. Obviously, taking away that Lucian, the most lane-dominating AD carry of them all right now. Meanwhile, on the other side...
Sorry, I was watching the cycling of the Jarvan skins. He has the manliest chin of all time.
It's pretty massive. I think you could fit a country there.
It distracted me.
But these picks and bans coming out really quickly. Nami Jax being locked up for LGD. We have Kale and Evelyn on the other side, World League Academy. I really like Evelyn in China. We talk about how China has, they're pretty weak on their warding front, on their vision control. It's kind of like quality versus quantity of wards. They'll throw like 20 wards at the map, but they're never in places that they need to be. And obviously a champion like Evelyn, you have to be really precise with your warding. Obviously, warding her camps by that Wraith camp in between the white and the blue buff, to see her when she comes out of stealth to kind of know where she is. So we'll see if LGD is able to respond to this effectively, or if that stealth game is going to ruin them. Draven being locked in, as well as Annie support, so a huge explosive bot lane if they decide to go 2v2.
Yeah, it's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see how it pans out for them. I really like that, actually. I really, really like it. It's such a confident, aggressive move to go for that one. But I still think it's definitely going to be the Braum support, and they're going to be throwing Annie into the mid lane.
I mean, it definitely could be.
Where else would you send Braum? Would you go for like a solo top scenario?
No, he would definitely be the support, but it could very well be that. Yeah, you're right, because it is Xie. And obviously he's known for his Annie mid, so it's early. Wow, I'm just like completely spacing. So yeah, it is going to be Annie mid. Xie known for his Annie mid. Is it 5 o'clock already?
Is it? Oh man.
No, it's not that early for me yet.
Time loses kind of all meaning when you're doing the cross seas casting. Oh, are they gonna lock that Zed in last pick? Nope. Switching once again over to Orianna, see if they go for that one as well. Wayless played it quite well last time. See if he decides to go for it once again.
I was hoping he'd go back for that Diana pick like we saw in the Cassidy game, but you're right. He did have a fantastic Orianna last game, so going to see that continue this.
I think this is LGD reading into World League Academy's general strengths. You look at the lineup, and arguably GA is probably one of the strongest mechanical single players on the team. Like take out the rest of the team and the strategy behind it all. If you're looking at a standard laning phase and you want to not lose that matchup because you know World League Academy will be looking to do that, you play a very safe pick. And you saw he was incredibly good at just simply refusing to fight against GA, and we'll see if he does it again on the same champion.
Wayless definitely the powerhouse for his team right now. I've been very impressed with him. Coming up into these compositions. The Orianna versus Annie, though, we talked about how Orianna has a little bit of superficial tankiness to her just because of her E. Like, relatively, like, if an Annie drops, like, a Tibbers on an enemy mage, pops the Ignite, kind of walks away the full combo, they're pretty much going to pop. Like, that's Annie's prerogative here. Not sure if he's going to build the Magi straight out of the gate, but definitely a Deathfire Grasp will come out. Orianna...
They will have explosive carries.
Yeah, Orianna's a little bit safer into that matchup. Has really amazing wave clear, has great range, so can keep up with Annie there relatively well. And also has the shield to kind of counteract all or nothing mage burst in. So we'll see if Wayless actually decides that he doesn't want to fight this, if he's not going to stand toe-to-toe with a big sustained damage burst, or if he's going to go farm the jungle again. But I kind of have a feeling that he's going to 1v1 this time.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like straight up come at me bro kind of laning phase that they want to work with. And well, we'll be loading up into the game and bringing you some super awesome mouse commercials while we wait. But yeah, I like this lineup from World League Academy. I think it speaks a little more to their individual strengths. And when you take a loss like that, you really have to fall back on something you're comfortable with.
Definitely. So coming up into the split, immediately into another pause. This is going to be World Elite Academy on the blue side, this team.
It's not on our end this time.
I know, right? LGD on the red side. This is a 2-set game so far. LGD is 1-0 to World Elite Academy, so they are ahead. They have the morale. They have the boost going into this. We'll see if World Elite Academy can pretty much make it happen. Obviously, went very different routes this time with the laning phase. That Draven Braum lane. Again, win lane, win game. That's the mentality there.
Yeah, and when you can't get Lucian, you might as well. And Draven, always that sort of never outside the meta kind of AD carry that just is a pocket pick for so many high-level players. This is true in a lot of the different regions. And Draven is a champion that is quintessentially a snowball. His very mechanics in his passive and his attacks are suited towards getting kills, getting them fast. This is a squishy bot lane. Lucian does have a lot of good early game presence. However, if they focus on a PYL, and I really expect them to do this here, this is a really good way to shut down LGD.
That's also assuming it's going to be a 2v2. So far, we haven't seen any straight 2v2 matchups. I think Young Glory did a 2v2 against UZI, which talk about the confidence to face off against one of the best AD carries in China. Be like, you know what, I think I'm going to go toe-to-toe with UZI and kind of test my luck here. But, I mean, I expect to see actually a lane swap here, which obviously slows down Draven's snowball a little bit. But the issue here is that Draven's passive is kind of like a double-edged sword. Either he's going to snowball straight out of the gate, he's going to have that amazing kill potential and that burst damage, or he's just going to sit there and he's going to stack up his passive passively, and then he's going to wait to the big dragon fight. I know, right? You saw what I did? He's going to wait for the big dragon fight, and he's going to pick up eventually another kill. So if he's left alone in kind of a 2v0 lane, just kind of free farm, that is still a very dangerous Draven because he's effectively stacking up all that adoration stacks. Yes, adoration stacks.
He's got to be careful, too. I mean, you don't get to cash them in unless you get that kill assist, or if you die, you lose half of them as well. So it is a bit of a double-edged, well, spinning axe.
I just feel like he has two different playstyles. I get what Riot was trying to do with the adoration stacks, but I think it works in reverse a lot of time for Draven players. Like, they'll actually be okay with sitting in, you know what, let's just free farm. We'll see how this adds up for you, because eventually your luck's going to run out. Statistically, I'm on the receiving end of this.
Yeah, these are things that happen. And again, he's a high-risk, high-reward kind of carry, and it speaks volumes to World Elite's confidence, despite the setback, despite the loss, that they can make a pick like this. And, you know, remember, this is still patch 4.9. I mean, Twitch was open. It's just not really something that they wanted to go for.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that Twitch hasn't been picked up from either side.
Yeah, and that's, well, maybe they're kind of prepping for it. They know 410 is coming. They know it's on the way. And they just sort of abandoning the sewer rat right now.
Did see the Kog'Maw, so... And man, Kog'Maw is just not doing well in LPL. I think Name has played him so far this season. We saw him last game. I don't actually think he's won. World Elite Wei Zhao played him and lost to OMG last night. And it was like a 68-minute game, and he still couldn't come back on the Kog'Maw. I have to stand by my theory. Kog'Maw is not back, everyone. Kog'Maw is not back. He's not strong again. Deft is back. I believe that Deft has a 100% win rate on Kog'Maw in the professional scene. Everyone else has like a 30% win rate. And yet they keep saying, you know, Kog'Maw's back. He's really strong right now. Everyone should be... No, it's Deft.
The Frost has spoken. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you that it's definitely more emulation than it is an actual... really strong pickup. I think Kog'Maw is still very good in the same way that I still think late game hyper carries like Tristana and Vayne can be very good. However, there's a certain place for them, and it just isn't being properly played. It's the same situation that we find Nami in the same scene.
Speaking of the Koreans, of course, Nami Lucian, the bot lane right now for LGD here. Very OGN-esque. Talking about the power there. Looking at that girl's tattoos to kind of show over the crowd. Nami obviously places her E on Lucian, which allows him to get all 3 procs of the extra damage. It's effectively kind of a superficial red buff with his passive, his Q, so very powerful burst damage coming out of there. Again, if they decide to stand 2v2 in that lane.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, you bring up a really interesting point when you're referring to the whole, hey, is it going to be 2v2 or are they going to do the lane swap? We've seen a lot of shenanigans out of both these teams, and they just kind of try to outthink each other, really. And it all goes down to who gets that lucky positioning, or rather, who does get the early ward. China is a scene that does have a little bit less emphasis on the warding, just like they have a little bit less emphasis on the picks and bans phase. But they've been getting better at it, and you can see it in these two teams. But LGD definitely seems one step ahead, and if that last game was an indicator, we'll see if they do it again.
Definitely, again, stalling out for this.
At least it's not on our end this time.
I know, right? At least all the technical issues are fixed on our
I
side.
like how they focus on the crowd. They do a little bit of a pan around and see what everyone's up to. There was that cute little head on the shoulder kind of moment. I kind of dodged just a little bit.
It looked pretty frisky to me.
Oh, well, everything looks frisky to you, doesn't it?
Apparently.
Well, they will get into this game eventually. I mean, it takes a while to sometimes resolve these issues, and they've
You
probably
see-
gone through like 3 of those Logitech mice by now.
You see SMLZ's face right there? That's my face. That's literally, I'm just like, please start the game.
The skeptical, I'm not really sure face.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see
I think there's technical issue. I think it's technical issues on World Elite Academy side.
Yeah, that is a non-starter factor in this game. Actually, the funny thing is, okay, you know how the stream pauses kept happening? Mine literally happened on that face you were talking about. That is probably the best pause I've had all day.
I'm wondering why they're not throwing it over to their little caster girl. Their little, I guess she's not, she's like the Shocks of China. They give really cool prizes away from China. I don't know if you guys have ever watched this, but they'll do little games in between shows. I guess they do games in between games where they'll like put a champion splash screen on like a giant monitor, and they'll ask the crowd, like they'll reveal little pieces of it and they'll ask the crowd, name that champion. It's like name that Pokemon, except if you win, you get like a freaking keyboard.
Teemo pillow.
I know, they get like Teemo pillows, they get keyboards, they get headsets, mice, they
want
get
a
like
Teemo pillow.
backpacks. It's
And I don't even like
crazy.
Teemo.
Meanwhile, Riot at LCS is throwing out little oranges and
Hey, they throw poros.
the
That's
poros,
pretty
oranges, Ziggs bombs.
Cool. Poros are awesome. The Ziggs bombs are also really cool. I haven't actually caught one of those yet. I'm kind of hoping one of these days.
One day.
Still waiting. Speaking of one day, still waiting to get back in.
I-
And it's I don't know. They're not like helping an individual player, so I don't think it's peripheral issues, but they are
It's been-
definitely trying to resolve something weird with the clients. I think.
It's been across the board, so I definitely think it's client issue. But oh, everyone kind of jumped forward, so I think they're logging back in. They got really excited for a second.
Yeah, those guys are ready to play some League of Legends. I'm ready to cast some League of Legends.
Oh,
for us.
perfect, we're back in.
This game is, yes, finally back to the Rift. I'm happy to see this one.
I'm at 110 Pyre. Where are you at?
Oh, about the same, give or take a couple of seconds, so hopefully it all evens out at the end of the day, but all of the champions wandering out to their respective lanes, pinging over to the river, and they're roaming in sort of a weird 3-1-1 kind of formation that I'm sure they'll coalesce up over by the Baron pit. I know it's not 15 minutes yet, Baron's not spawned, but they can still go there.
Would be classic China. They all just wait for the 15-minute spawn. But again,
Forget lanes. We don't need lanes.
we're seeing another kind of line of scrimmage. We did see a delayed invade from World Elite Academy last game on the red side. This time, pretty even across the board. Some early trinkets going out. Everyone looks to be pretty calm, though. Don't necessarily want to invade on a Braum level 1. I feel like his level 1 is ridiculously powerful.
Braum may not be the strongest lane in general, but he's still really hard to engage into. And I think that's what you really mean, right? Is that it's something that is so dangerous if you get locked up. Oh, speaking of dangerous, PYL trying to pick up this blue buff, but I don't think he's gonna get it.
No, he did not. Got pretty involved with it. It's like, hey, I'm just here to help you guys out.
He's helping farm. Yeah, it's kind of hard to compete with the smite, but he did manage to make something happen. So here we go. The 2v0 lane swap going down, and you see the jungle buddy system going through as well as Xian and, well, 17 are just going to clear it away. I actually couldn't even tell it was 17 for a second because he's being covered up by Xian. But yeah, they're both clearing out their own jungle. And here's what you mean by the whole vertical thing, right? You've got this top half of the jungle, which is really just the red side top jungle and then the blue side top jungle, and then vice versa. And each team kind of runs that way until they either coalesce for a 4v0 or they do some kind of crazy push down the mid lane.
Yeah, effectively, LGD owns the top half of the jungle because they have a numbers advantage with the 2 people in the top lane. But we do see an invade coming down from LGD trying to find Evelyn. Soas, of course, is in the mid lane, so escapes certain death because Jax, Jarvan, buddy system we're looking for blood here, but Jax is going to go ahead and burn his teleport right now, get into that 2v1 lane.
Yep, going to be collapsing onto this mid. So GA taking a little bit of damage from Wayless, and they're looking to try and dive in. He throws the flag, chooses not to drag though, and they will continue this one. Now Annie has a fairly weak, really early game before 6. I mean, once you hit that Tibbers power spike, it's going to be pretty ridiculous. But it's kind of hard to deal with when Wayless can very much outrange you. This is one of the frustrations of an Annie mid player.
Chuan actually getting caught out here on his own side of the map. He's going to have to burn his flash away. I think you are quite a few seconds behind me.
Yeah, I actually had, once again, the irreparable lag problems. It finally caught up from China, so that was the lag issue. It was a slow stream, and it went all the way down the wire over to my computer. So apologies once again. Thanks for picking up the slack on that one, though.
Am I going to have to be the play-by-play for this one going around?
You're going to have to be the play-by-play and the color. You can do it. I believe in you.
I wanted to talk about Xie's matchup into Orianna here. I feel that actually Annie is... she's going to do okay early in this matchup just because her long auto-attack range and the fact that she can really bully off a zone from Wayless there. I feel like Orianna should just kind of E up and kind of auto-attack, but it's really hard to deal with Annie's range. So I feel like she is playing this very well. Obviously, very experienced on that Annie, but meanwhile, in this top lane, Soas looking to make something happen.
Go very hard, but Soas, well, he's not quite seen just yet. He does have that red buff available if he does want to push forward onto this, and Q has no idea this is happening. XR baiting it out magnificently, burns his dash and his flash and his heal. Q is going to get away, but he burned quite a lot of summoner spells to make that happen, and only now is PYL coming back to lane. So is sticking around.
Unfortunately, didn't pan out for him. Did get the flash, so not a total loss there. Obviously, a jungler is going to chalk that up win-win in their columns.
Yeah, I mean, when you burn 2 summoner spells and really make Q just completely sweat bullets, that is not the greatest thing to really be in a situation like that for Q again later on. I mean, he's definitely out farming his AD carry opponent right now, but Draven is completely unopposed right now, whereas XR putting the pressure on him. They're going to look to do this one again. They're going to find him now. Soas in the area. Q once again has no escapes, but there is Xuan leading the charge, backing it up rather, and he chases away the jungler from World Elite Academy. Meanwhile, Braum coming around the side. They're looking to make this a 3-for-3. They do not want to let up the aggression. Once again, baiting onto the tower. So is third time's the charm. Can he come around for the side of it? Thinks better. He's going to back away for now. And you can see the level differential, too, from all the roams. This always results in a lot of craziness.
Definitely trying to make things happen onto that Evelynn, utilizing the stealth pressure across the map. I want to talk about the CS difference, though, between Kayle and Jax right now. 25-7. Not the start that Jax wants, is sitting on a flask longsword, has a ward available to him, so trying to make himself very safe. Unfortunately, his lane really far down. SMLZ alone in that bot lane, getting up that free solo EXP here.
Yeah, this is one of the risks you run by trying to do a lot of fancy maneuvers early on. And Jax players just in this last set have really not had a whole lot of luck. But meanwhile, up in the top lane, Lucian getting hit up, but they're going to turn on to XR. He does not have his ult available. He's only level 5. He's going to back away for just a moment. And whoop, UJ, he takes a lot of damage as well. Can't quite return it onto Q in time. And PYL healing him up, being that bro support that he is.
And we're going to back here for the first back, so see what Lucian's going to come out and buy. Ooh, Braum barely misses getting PYL, but now getting caught out by Soas here. Damage coming down. Is going to walk away from it, but kind of a cheeky maneuver there from UJ.
Yep. It was nice to have that option to sort of back up and be like, hey, we're gonna push this back forward and see if he does go aggressive on it, which you almost can always count that if there's an aggressive move that can be made, they're going to go for it. Both these teams have really demonstrated an incredible willingness to dive in when there's even half a chance of picking up a kill.
Definitely, and I feel like the lane has almost switched to it's a 2v2 in the top lane, jungler Kayle, but 17 looking for the gank, does find Kayle here. Damage going down, XR doesn't have ultimate available, is going to finally fall first blood, LGD.
Well played, and that's a perfect dive in for 17 to make that one happen. So Q really had nice presence as well to follow up on that. I mean, the map awareness is, of course, incredibly key, and these players, at such a ridiculously high level, able to make that happen. So, nicely done. And it, this is going to give a lot of needed relief to Jax, as he, you mentioned he's so far behind in farm that this is just kind of a really, really, really rough game for him. So anything helps, an assist included.
Definitely right there. What time are you at, Pyra?
Well, I'm actually viewing it from a couple of different angles. I've got the stream running on, pardon me for a minute, I've got the stream running on Twitch and, of course, on my iPad, of course, but I've also got it running on the TV, and it's kind of lagging out for me. I hate to tell you, so we are a little bit off sync once again. We apologize for the issues that we're facing. I'm at about 8:42 right now.
I'm only 4 seconds ahead of you, so that's okay.
I think that'll be fine. Hey, this game is all kind of sorts for a lot of people, apparently. World Elite, they really need to start making big plays on this one, because LGD, they're not that far in the lead, but they're still 1,000 gold up, and it's 9 minutes. If they start giving up dragons, this is going to look pretty bad for them.
The thing that World Elite Academy does have going for them is that they have that Kale pick. Of course, Kale known for her hyper ramp into late game. I'm gonna give it to PDD. PDD really brought over the Hurricane build. Wouldn't be surprised if that build were to come out here, but we do see Q and PYL actually looking on the aggressive. Again, spending so much time in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, it really is a committed strategy to making this happen. They're trying so hard to keep their opponents guessing, and you gotta wonder, at what point do you call that bluff and just say, okay, we're just gonna out-farm these guys?
But first dragon of the game going to go over to LGD with that roam from their AD carry and support. The teleport not even burned in response from XR there in the top lane. PYL actually running straight into SOAS, though, getting a little cheeky in that fight over the pink ward.
Yep, I think you are definitely a little bit more ahead of me. So I'm going to hit the refresh one more time. It's kind of like spinning a roulette wheel at this point. You never know what you're going to get. But you were doing a fantastic job at covering up all this for me, so I really appreciate it.
No, it's okay. Meanwhile, in the spot lane, just let me know when you get back in. It is a 3v2 situation, but Xie caught out by 17 here. He's got nowhere to go, flashes over the wall, but he may be on the wrong side of things. Nope, so it's going to go ahead and meet up with him, so he's going to walk away. The flash is forced out from 17, so not a total loss from him. Meanwhile, game kind of pausing out as the 17 returns back to his top lane. Of course, XR has now pushed his creep wave all the way there, so he's got quite a bit of experience to go home to. This 3v2 in the bottom, SOAS expending a lot of time hanging down there. I actually don't think that LGD is aware that he's in the area.
Oh, actually, and I did manage to get back in, so I'm seeing exactly what you're talking about. So
11:02?
Yeah. 11:02, yep. Soist is hanging around the side, but he's going to decide that he's not going to do a whole lot good right in that particular bush, so he's going to hang out in the other bush. Transfers it over, and they find PYL on the outside. UJ wants to make something happen here. Here comes Soist around the side, and he's going to be seen out. The bubble doesn't land on anybody. A heal is popped. Draven's ult's going to come out spinning big time. He's going to pick up a kill, but it's actually going to go over to Soist, who gets it on a last hate spike. Nicely done, and they pick on PYL.
So his patience finally comes out from. Unfortunately, the kill did not go into SMLZ's favor, so obviously not picking up those adoration stacks takes the gold out of the lane. Could have gone better, but, you know, everyone's going to be happy with the kill here.
It was a close thing, and you look at it, the Draven is farming fantastically well, and this
Ooh,
does
but
come down a little bit to
Wayless.
SMLZ. Uh-oh. This is going to be a problem as they're diving on forward for it. This bot lane hotly contested. The Jarvan ult coming out, getting popped away. Yuji blocking up everything. Orianna Ball going to zone Soist away from this one, and Draven, well, not Draven, it's Braum that goes down. They both have mustaches. That's how I was confused.
It's the mustache bot lane.
Ah, well, one is a really, really crazy, like, Fu Manchu kind of thing, and the
It's a
other one
porn
is, like,
stash.
these
Don't
giant-
even joke
yeah,
yourself.
oh, all right, fine. All right, fine. I thought this was a PG stream, Frost.
I already said dicking around on the Baron pit, so I think we can up this to parental guidance requested.
This is what happens when it's 3 a.m. on the West Coast, ladies and gents. So GA taking a little bit of poke in that mid lane as well, but he's managed to keep up decently in farm with Wayless, and this is very impressive, but he's going to get caught up. He does pop a Timbers now, but Xion's in there, doesn't have his ult available, but he can turn onto him, forces the flash away from Wayless, who just barely avoids dying, and now Xuan being chased on because XR joined the party. This is looking real bad right now for LGD, but they managed to get away without any deaths, just barely, although Xuan nearly did. They are going to lose this tower, though. Second one of the game for World Elite Academy.
Fantastic roam from XR right there. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up the kills, but they did get the prize of the tower, picking up that global objective, and of course, more map control. Dragon's not going to spawn for quite a bit, so obviously that tower not as important as far as global objectives as it could have been, but they are going to now look at the blue buff. So kind of a double whammy there.
When in doubt, steal the blue buff. It was well done, well deserved, and PYL trying to find an angle that he can counter-engage on too. But this is another reason why Nami supports just don't fly so well in these Chinese compositions. You want your support to be making a huge ton of plays, but there just isn't a huge ton of power. And here comes a big ultimate, narrowly going to avoid riding the wave is SMLZ there. And Yujie going to dodge out the bubbles too. PYL trying to make something happen on his own, but his team not quite in sync with him. And this might be the couple of weaknesses that we're seeing coming out of LGD right now. They seem a little unsure of what to do.
That tidal wave, I'm so on the fence about it. I feel like they constantly do that they throw it out as a hard engage and they don't realize how slow that projectile actually moves.
Yeah, it seemed really odd. It was such a long shot that it was going to actually hit. But maybe they just like the animation. I don't know. Oop, Q narrowly avoids a lot of damage, but So's coming in around the side, turning on for PYL. This is the focus that they've been getting. They spend a Braum ultimate on it and a Draven, and it looks like it's going to be SMLZ picking up a kill here. Shuan coming to the party, but he finds himself by himself, and he's avoiding all the skill shots. Has a way less coming in here. They're jumping onto Soas. There's the ball delivery system. Somehow Soas stays alive, but he goes down to 17 in the end, who teleported in for the fight. Somehow it's being turned on around. Way less, putting a whole lot of hurt onto the rest of World Elite Academy, and it looks like they're going to take a Braum kill as Yujie sacrificed for the rest of the team, but it could have easily been a 3-for-1.
The wayless roam was absolutely crucial right there. LGD does walk away with the fight in their advantage. However, they don't really get anything off of it. It didn't transfer into an objective, so pretty much a meaningless fight. It wasn't for Dragon. It wasn't for the tower. Dragon is going to spawn in the 45 seconds, so obviously the big next point of contention there. I mean, I like the roam there, and I like the teleport and the fight and the reaction time of collapsing, but unfortunately it didn't pan out and it doesn't mean anything, and a lot of cooldowns were expended there.
Yeah, they really burned a lot just to pick off PYL, and we talked about how this might be a strategy of theirs to try and shut him down just because it's such a squishy support that he's running. So 0-2-1 this game, yeah, but at the same time, you can't let Lucian sit there at a deathless score. He's just going to keep farming, he's just going to get bigger, and they're going to hit this mid-game power spike where he's going to be really hard to deal with.
Definitely Q exactly where he wants to be, has that Bloodthirster available to him already. Does have the longsword for the Brutalizer. I expect he'll go the patented Ghostblade build.
Patented Ghostblade build. That's
patented Ghostblade build.
That's your Name approved.
I'm waiting for you to catch that giant tipper. Is that pretty much?
I would love to, but unfortunately the stream decided not to cooperate once again.
Okay, well, giant tippers came out from Xie there, completely deletes 2 members of LGD with the chase. Dragon is spawned, so it's going to be World Elite Academy now looking at a free Dragon. However, I think they got locked up on the tower. Wayless trying to make something happen for his team, trying to pick up anything he can. XR is just going to walk away from him, so yes, it is going to be the free Dragon, so World Elite Academy definitely swinging the gold power back into their favor here.
And unfortunately, fortunately actually, the Draven Axe is only going to land on a couple of minions, so LGD not going to really get too pushed off this tower. Shuan tanking up the shots as the second tier goes down, once again in favor of LGD. So they even up the tower score, but they still find themselves in a slight gold pit right now. It's only about 2,000 gold, so it's not that much to climb out of. But I've been more impressed by World Elite Academy's decision-making this game.
They're definitely reacting a lot faster, getting involved in these early fights. Good teleports coming down from XR. I feel like XR has really stepped up this game. Obviously, beyond that KL, he is a very important piece of the puzzle right now. Had Jack's last game didn't pan out for him, so we'll see if he's able to carry here. Soest, again, in this bottom lane.
Yeah, he will not leave it alone, and part of it is because they really want to try and snowball it, but they haven't been able to, well, they did a pretty big kill earlier on, and Wu's going to actually look for juicier meat. There's Shuan there. He's going to flag and drag away from it as he sees Yujie and says, I don't want any part of that one. Go away. Wayless going to be partnering up with him, helping him clear those wolves out, and now Soas being turned around. PYL going to pop up in there and pop a heal, actually, but this is going to leave a momentary window for SMLZ to try and take this tower down finally, but they're back to lane already, so can he solo it? He's going to throw a couple of axes to try to make it happen. Narrowly avoids skill shot. They do take it down at the end of the day, and here's the chase is on. Stand aside just misses, and that could have been the death of Q. But here's a big engage. So is already seen going on to the tidal wave, finally used for defensive purposes, and so is Yuji as he pops his Unbreakable to try and avoid the culling shots, but they're going to back away. No minion waves. Once again, World Lead Academy is foiled, but this time very narrowly.
I feel like SOAS has been so instrumental in this bot lane, like constantly there, looking for the flanks, being very involved in his lanes. He actually still has a CS lead over Qian, like, right now. And again, I feel like this goes back to the fact that Qian is so crippled by the fact that he needs to play Lee Sin to be effective. Like I said, it's like he needs echolocation to find the creeps there.
I see exactly what you did there. Well, he didn't see it, but, well, he's playing Jarvan, so maybe he saw it this time. I don't know where I'm going with that one. He hasn't been too bad, but he definitely hasn't made the plays on the level of Soist. In all fairness, though, Soist is focusing on a very, very squishy bot lane, and ooh, they might collapse onto Orianna here. Here comes GA around the side.
Tibbers is up and available.
Tibbers is up and available. Will they spend it? Nope, they will not. Soist nearly gets seen. But the real danger now is they're allowing 17 to push on this top lane, completely uncontested. Looks like XR are going to try and answer that one out.
I feel like 17 saw the Jax pickup come out from XR last game. He's like, you know what? I'm going to show you how to play this champion. Pretty much been completely uncontested, really. Sitting 0-1-2. Not bad for Jax. Completely even across the board as far as the CS. Has the Blade of the Ruined King available to him. A very big threat. Again, we talked about Jax is an item-dependent champion. At some point, he will be Jax no matter what. And it looks like LGD...
Just going to take a blue buff, yeah?
Just,
there we go.
I got confused because they took the other blue buff. And, yeah, they take the double blue buff, so...
2 blue buffs are better than 1 blue buff. There you go.
Oh, it was a steal. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it was a blue buff steal. They're going to go ahead and take that away from Shea.
Oh, Tibbers. Oh, my goodness. We almost missed it. A big command shockwave going to go down. Shuan going to make some big plays for his team to try and answer in return. And here comes 17 around the side. Yuji nearly goes down, gets the intervention. Kale saves his life. Just barely. A culling is going to force the disengage. But, oh, my goodness, it is a 1-for-1 trade. And the explosive power of Annie with the Deathfire grasp.
Not done quite yet, though. I don't know if you lagged out because SMLZ is pushing in on this really hard. The Axis continuously picks up one. Now looking for Q here. Pops the W, trying to catch up. Q will have the... Oh, he doesn't have any mana. Oh, there he goes. Just enough mana for the Relentless Pursuit. It might save his life. The Draven E does not connect, and he's able to walk away. That was terrifying for a second. Almost looked like a double kill for SMLZ. Those Adoration stacks definitely starting to pick up here, and this is where Draven wants to be.
Absolutely. I mean, you cannot give him multiple kills when he's sitting really high on those stacks because he'll just cash in immediately. And you can see he can pick up a full item off of that stuff sometimes. It's ridiculous how well Draven can snowball off just a couple of kills when they're timed up correctly.
Definitely. Returning to base to spend his gold, immediately picks up a Trinity Force from a Phage. This is now a BT Trinity Draven.
Yeah, and remember, this is on 4-9 too, so... Bloodthirster definitely a very quintessential item for most of the AD carries too, and you can really see the difference in farm here. He's up about 40, most of it because he's been completely uncontested. Now he's 3-0-2. This is a very scary situation for LGD, and they clearly did not come out ahead in the laning phase, and, well, something they rely on very heavily, so World Elite definitely looking a lot better right now, and you can tell in the way they're playing, they're just feeling more confident.
LGD effectively doesn't have any control of their map right now. 9-5 in kills, 33k to 30k in favor of World League Academy here, and these initiations from Shea have actually been pretty spot on. I feel like Wayless, even though he's hit decent shockwaves, they really have no contestant to them. They don't have a true tank here, but Xian getting caught out and immediately falls.
Yep, there we go. So the amount of burst that LGD has really just doesn't compare, and this is why the fights are just ending so quickly, because they can't follow up on these fast enough to really make anything really meaningful happen. And you are actually like a significant chunk ahead of me, just so you know. I'm going to keep trying to fix it, but this is kind of a bit of an issue that we're still trying to work through, guys.
I got the solo cast going, but they are going to allow Tibbers to tank up this tower, do decent damage, but I think they get scared off here as LGD approaches. They're going to go ahead and back off towards that dragon again. It is not worded, but LG is looking for the counter push up mid if they decide to expend too many resources to that dragon pit. It is going to be a free mid tower. Dragon goes down relatively quickly. World Elite Academy now looking for the flank. LGD realizes what's going on. They switch over into the river looking for the Baron pit. I don't know why I'm play-by-play casting every single thing on. This is why I'm not a play-by-play caster. Please come back, Byra. But the Nami ult from downtown literally hits creeps. Yep, that's what happened.
Yeah, we're still waiting for it to come back in. I apologize for all of the hesitancy and
with the engage finally going down, the Braum ult, LGD taking a lot of damage. Jax now trying to get into the middle of it. The damage is huge from Draven in the back. SMLZ pretty much going uncontested. PYL is going to be the next person down, but XR trying to do what he can. Oh, wow. This Draven damage is insane right now. The burst. The culling does come across. Unfortunately, meets the Braum shield and does effectively nothing. A free tower as well as 2 kills picked up for World League Academy. And this Draven, SMLZ now sitting 5-0-4.
Yeah, this is a huge, huge problem for them at this point because they just haven't been able to get into that backline and dish out enough damage without going down. You can see it in every one of these engages. They just aren't able to finish the fight, and they're just going to keep losing towers this way. I don't know how LGD can get back into this because they've banked so hard on winning a laning phase that clearly got out of hand really quickly.
They cannot expend the Nami ult how they've been doing it. It has to be used as a disengage. They have enough hard engage. There's no reason to be utilizing such an important cooldown on hard engage. Like, you have Jarvan and Orianna on your team. What are you thinking there? And I feel like they're able to come back. I mean, obviously, anytime there's a wombo combo in the game, it doesn't really matter the gold deficit because it just takes one shockwave to turn a game, to turn a Baron. So, yes, LGD is definitely down and World Elite Academy is in full driver's seat right now, but it just takes that one team fight.
Yeah, there can always be a turnaround, and you never know. There might be a Baron throw at some point, but LGD in a position that they're pretty uncomfortable with just because they tried to make these roams happen early on, and they just didn't quite pan out the way they'd like. They didn't manage to get the shutdowns onto everyone it was relevant on, and they've let this Draven and this Annie really get up to a point where they can't get anywhere near them without getting blown up.
Right there indeed, but unfortunately the game stagnant out a little bit as no other objectives are really an easy reach. SMLZ looking possibly at this top tier tower with SOS behind him. Looks like Chuan's actually just going to let it go free, but there is a trade. LGD in the mid lane finally pick up that mid lane tower. Chuan actually looking to go hard, decides against it. Wayless is behind him, so the ball delivery service is there. It is a 2v2, but LGD scrambling to look for a flank here. The flash comes forward, the flag and drag, the catalyst, the flash is down for SMLZ. I cannot play-by-play cast. This is going down way too fast, but it is LGD, 4 members on 2 members of World Elite Academy. SMLZ, Draven is down. Jax now into the backline, causing chaos. The intervention goes down on SOS, but he's pretty much not able to do anything. A fantastic shockwave is going to pick up 2 members. Shie pops the Tibbers, takes one for himself and the Lucian, but now huge damage coming across him. It is going to be a 3-for-1 trade in favor of LGD. We talked about the wombo combo, the out position that they needed. The Catalyst came across, a fantastic shockwave, and I mean, no objectives taken over that. They're not able to look at a Baron here. Far too low health with SOS still available. That Smite still up, but definitely a good turnaround from LGD there.
I don't know what you're talking about, Frost. You did a fantastic job on that play-by-play.
It is not my forte.
No, but you definitely covered it up quite well, and wow, I mean, what a fantastic maneuver. They nearly got turned on here. You see Shuan taking a whole lot of damage on that replay there. SMLZ almost gets out of this one, but, you know, look at how they were able to shift the aggro. They shut down Draven first. They get into this backline. They try to focus on the Yuzhao now, but they're basically forcing everyone to put a bunch of damage onto 17, and Wayless is just sitting there poking away with this ball. Huge command shockwave down, melts 2 people, and all of a sudden, it's just SOS on one side and GA on the other. Annie does get a kill, but then immediately goes down.
Unfortunately, I feel like that's the second really large swing team fight that LGD had in their favor that effectively didn't translate into anything. Yes, they picked up the kills, but it didn't come with an important objective here. If they had been high enough health that Tibbers ult hadn't come down as effectively as it did across so many members, it could have translated into something so much more for LGD, but definitely flexing their power, starting to close this gold gap lead, 45k to 41k in favor of World Elite Academy now.
Yeah, they've got themselves a pretty solid comeback game kind of mounting. I mean, it's definitely a work in progress, but they have to keep taking things like that if they want to get near it. They're still 5 deaths down. I mean, it's not as insurmountable as some of the stuff we've seen, so nicely done by LGD to really wrestle a little bit of control back into this game, but they have a long way to go, and they really have to focus at Draven. That team fight was pretty much textbook how you need to do it.
I think you're a little bit behind because PYL just got caught out in that mid lane and deleted off of the map. So unfortunately, that little fish 0-6-5, not having the best game.
As you're saying it.
Oh, but the Tibbers comes across.
Yeah, big time. That was something else.
And now the Catalyst is involved. I guess you're not going to pick up the cast here, but a couple of members trading back and forth. But World Elite Academy, complete turnaround response from the last team fight that they have. Delete LGD off the map. It is just Wayless available, under 25% HP, has no shockwave available to him, has no flash available to him.
This is a pretty big Baron right now.
Oh my god, but huge damage just off of his Q. The Baron is now at 10%, and it does go down in favor of World Elite Academy.
Yeah, I think Wayless was looking for a steal on that one, and you know what? I think we transferred this pretty well over. You go ahead and do the play-by-play. I'm gonna do the color.
I will try my very best.
I know. I'm so nervous about it, but it'll work out. I'm pretty sure. Nicely done by World Elite Academy to really. I mean, obviously there was no way they could contest, but they just confidently pressed it so hard that Wayless didn't even feel like he could try for it.
Definitely right, and this is going to be a free dragon for World Elite Academy, so picking up the Baron, picking up those kills, picking up the dragon, and picking up the gold lead back into their favor. Not quite a 10k, but definitely closing in on that 7k in their favor. With this Baron, obviously going to be looking for more map pressure, try to make the siege on. However, sieging up against a Lucian Orianna, pretty difficult. Yeah,
there is a good amount of defensive potential here, but, you know, once again, they do have a lot of good range weapons, and they've been relying pretty well on these flanks. I mean, Soas has really never been ineffective this game, and I think LGD is really underestimating those pink wards. I mean, they really have not been placing them this game, and it's kind of a stark difference to the last time.
Again, I just can't emphasize this enough. Qian, his performance night and day between Lee Sin and any other jungler. Not surprised that they lose. I guess I shouldn't say lose because they haven't lost yet. We could still see a turnaround, but looks like Kale is going to go ahead and prep that top lane. SMLZ swinging over, making the OMG TSM rotation over it. And XR's like, you know what? I don't even need you, SMLZ. I'm just going to take this myself. But they're now looking at this inhib tower.
Yep, they're going to begin the long siege on it. And again, there is a
Oh, but the Nami on a huge shockwave followed by a catalyst. World Elite Academy explodes across the board. 17 teleporting in, is now in on the chase, has his stun prepped. Hits Xie with the tip of it. It's now Q dropping the damage. Xie solo takes the Culling to the back. That's another pickup for LG on the chase again. 3 members already down for World Elite Academies. They scramble to try to get out the flag and drag the Nami passive. Oh, is he going to catch him? Xion does have the flag and drag available, but the Banshee Veil is up, does manage to pop it. The bubble completely missed for some reason. The Banshee Veil didn't get popped at all. I think that's a visual error on their side.
Well, PYLs have been a lot of trouble actually hitting those bubbles too, but it's not really for lack of trying. It's definitely the very narrow void. You can see Soas just barely moves away from it. He didn't quite get stunned up for the full duration by Xuan. And back to touch on your point, you're right. He just has not been nearly as effective at making plays. You can see him trying, but they just don't seem not only as well at sync, but there's just something else off it. You can tell he's not clearly as comfortable.
I want to talk about this team fight though as we see it onto the screen. So the biggest issue here is that the Tibbers, the AoE nuke ult was expended on literally one person. Wayless 8 that didn't die again. Oriana's tankiness coming in, had the shield readily available. In response, Wayless drops the 4-man explosive shockwave. So night and day between utilizing those cooldowns effectively. World Elite Academy got burned on that Tibbers.
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm freak.
That wasn't I was like sitting there for the delayed release pun, and I'm like, my brain was lagging about as hard as my stream. So I'll give you a little I'll give you a golf clap for that one, Frost. Well done.
Just a golf clap?
I'll give you like 2.
Okay.
Feel better.
But we do see World Elite Academy looking again at another clean rotation, going to pick up another free tower in their pocket. Looking again at an inhib, this time the bottom tower. Oh, yep, I was going to say, I think they have PTSD of what happened last time. They are going to back off as soon as Wayless shows his face. Again, that Tibbers ult.
Not a whole lot of health on that tower either.
Definitely. That Tibbers ult has to be used more effectively next time.
Yeah, I think he's been trying to get incredibly aggressive with it just to try and wrestle a bit more control back, because World Elite Academy has built themselves up this nice lead. They are very comfortable, but they still keep losing these team fights just barely LGD took them on with Baron buff when they were knocking on the front door, and that is a very confident thing out of them. They've also got a pretty solid late game in their top lane and their mid lane, despite the fact that Shuan has been having troubles. They definitely have a real shot at picking this one back up. Gold lead is really not that insurmountable. Definitely
with that wombo combo composition on the other side, the gold lead can sway either way. XR here on the top lane, though, this Kale, kind of the big powerhouse late game carry for World Lead Academy, sitting pretty high and mighty, 233 CS right now, 3-3 and 8. I believe that's an 8. Looks like a 6 on my screen, but nope, it's an 8. Has his Death Cap, has the Asher's Tooth, has the Berserk Greaves, does not have the Hurricane.
Yeah, that is a notable absence. Of course, this is a more traditional Kale build, the I'm going to explode you kind of build. Not too worried about pushing down the towers. However, that's something you may want to think about actually going forward, just because as long as World League Academy wants to try and continue siege pressure, Hurricane is a very, very good item to do that with. However, they're relying more on trying to just nuke down targets, a little bit more of a traditional strategy.
I definitely think you're right about the Hurricane build kind of being a viable option for them. Obviously, again, we talk about the issues of trying to siege against a Lucian Orianna, the amount of wave clear there, and if they were to look instead at a split push strategy, utilizing a Hurricane, utilizing the teleport, utilizing Kale, it could be completely different. Although Baron about to spawn in about 1 minute 20 seconds here, so obviously the big next point of contention, but SOAS is actually out behind Chuan here. Pings are going down, so LG is aware where they are. SOAS has to be very careful about his spacing. He's effectively caught between the entire team of LGD. He's like, maybe I don't want this.
Yeah, I've got even more issues on my end, so I'm glad you've been able to pick that one up. But yeah, this is a game that, despite being back and forth pretty frequently, Worldly, like, you can tell that they're just kind of like, well, we know we've got this, but, well, maybe they don't. Maybe they're
but the Catalyst comes in and a Nami ult comes across. Sorry to cut you off right there.
That's quite all right.
Draven ult coming across, huge damage onto World League Academy. This is not what they wanted. LGD definitely covering their flanks right now. Yujie is going to drop. It's just Kale and SMLZ. It's SOAS off to the side trying to get into position. The wave clear and the siege from LGD is pretty explosive right now with Q on his Lucian. Takes a big chunk out of XR. Doesn't really get much for it. Is now burning down this tower very quickly. It is going to fall.
That's a 2-for-2 trade so far, so they managed to get...
but XR now on the run. The Culling eating him across the back. He barely gets out with his life. SMLZ now on the Draven, on the offensive. Huge damage coming across Nami right there. Does force him off the inhibitor, so grab the tower, but not all is lost for World League Academy there.
Yep, so they do manage to get quite a nice chunk out of that. LGD was turned away eventually and did manage to take down the inhibitor. Really, really close.
Definitely, World League Academy barely got scrambled into position to make sure that didn't turn out any worse than it had, but open inhibitor free for the picking. LGD kind of now in the swing of power, actually. Still down in the gold lead, have the same amount of objectives. Baron is up, so next point of contention. The pings are going down. It's completely dark right now. Actually, SMLZ has already started this. The flag does see it, so they know that LGD has vision. They just don't care. 50% going down very quickly. Jarvan could come in for the steal. He goes into the pit. World League Academy completely backed off. It's now turning into a team fight. Catalyst splits it up. A shockwave comes across 2 members, but it's effectively a split-up fight. World League Academy closing back very effectively. Huge Draven ult coming across. Now focusing on to Wayless. Chuan trying to push SMLZ out of the fight.
Oh my god, I just saw that giant shockwave. What a fantastic maneuver, and they do, once again, trade pretty evenly in this one. It seems like neither team really taking a clear advantage in any of these, and it's just developing into a longer stalemate.
Well, I think you're a little paused out because LGD did take the clear advantage there. They do have 3 members onto SMLZ trying to do his best to stall, but the huge Lucian damage, oh my god, almost takes him out. He is forced off of the Baron pit, but Wayless very low. The Baron now at 10%. Yep, SMLZ is just going to give it to it, so second Baron of the game in favor of LGD.
Yep, oh, just saw that happen. Okay, there we go. But yeah, okay, so they came out much farther ahead on the second wind of that fight, mostly because LGD once again able to shift the aggro. SMLZ is pretty solid on his own, but once the rest of his team dies around him, there's really not a whole lot he can do.
SMLZ, I feel like, is the hard carry for World League right now. trying to 1v5 effectively. I mean, it's really unfortunate. I feel like the interventions aren't being utilized as well as they should be for how powerful this Draven is right now. But with the Baroned up LGD team, ball is in their court, so to speak, as Orianna is also on the team. They are going to be looking at that open mid inhibitor here. Pretty much uncontested, going to go ahead, pick up their red buff, pick up their blue buff, clear out their jungle, make sure all the resources are down at the map, and then group and look for pretty much a game-ending fight. If World Elite Academy dies defending that inhibitor, it's game over.
Yeah, if that happens, there's really not much they can go for. There's really not much they can really do to recover because it'll just be such a fast push down. They're entering a very late stage of game here.
Definitely, these death timers are unforgiving. We'll see if SMLZ is strong enough to carry World Elite Academy through this Baron timer. Looks like LGD taking their sweet time, though, now transitioning over into the Dragon since their entire jungle map has been cleared. So not taking any chances, definitely trying to pad up their stats and their gold as much as possible.
So, despite the fact that they really got off to such a shaky start, I really got to hand this one over to the fantastic rotations that they pulled off there. You were talking about TSM OGN rotations, but it really, really is.
LGD definitely informed. You
LGD
are right. LGD. They are now looking at this bottom tier tower, so not going for the mid inhibitor. Might play a little bit of the pressure game there. They did get the wave going a little bit in their favor, but nope. Now they're going to swing mid. Just picking up the last easy objective available to them on the map.
Yep, so at this point they can just continue to roam and force a reaction out of their opponents every single step of the way, and they're just waiting for the fight. They have Baron buff, they know that they can take a clear advantage at this point, and this is the point where 17 gets ridiculously insurmountable. If they don't kill him instantly, boom, they're all gone. Lucian's still pretty effective at this point just because he has a pretty solid item build. I mean, this is a much better later game item build, and here we go. The inhibitor's going to fall. They're going to force the fight here. Here comes XR around the side. Shuon, he was being targeted down, but they can't really do much there. And there's 17 finding Soist around the outside, putting a whole lot of damage onto him with the leap strike. He's going to get stunned up by Annie, though. Right in there for a Tibbers, but here's a dive in. Lucian is going to get a kill onto Braum. Colling's going to come out. They melt down Kale. It's a 2 for none right now. It looks like they're going to get the command shockwave off. Is this going to be the clear race? Soist still alive. They're chasing him around the bot side, but they don't need to kill him. They say, hey, wait a minute, guys. There is a Nexus over here. They're going to turn for it, and this should be game over at 40.5 minutes in. Going to be LGD taking a 2-0 over World Elite Academy.
This is exactly what LGD needed. We talked about how World Elite Academy tried to defend that inhibitor and they died there. It was game over. The death timers were too unforgiving. LGD, fantastic comeback. We're pretty much down in gold the entire length of that game until the very end with a huge swing comeback with that Baron. Fantastic play from both sides.
I am immensely impressed right there with the turnarounds that LGD was able to do. This is really proof that they're not quite one-trick ponies. Yes, Quan suffered quite a lot from his inability to get Lee Sin. However, they really compensated for it by just turning around the early game and making, you know, they snapped themselves back into it. There was just this moment where, boom, they clicked on, and all of a sudden, they were grabbing objectives left and right. So, well played to LGD. They really deserve this. And World Elite Academy really has some work to do. Down another 0-2 set. They are not quite living up to the hype.
You are absolutely correct. They are 0-4, I believe, right now. Yep, they lost to their sister team back-to-back. They lost back-to-back to LGD, so World Elite Academy stumbling out of the gate, securing up that last place spot in the split so far. LGD coming out very strong. Again, we talked about how everyone's naming Starhorn Royal Club as the dark horse of the set. I feel like LGD has much more potential to create a lot of upsets. Not saying that this game was an upset, but looking very different than a lot of people predicted.
Yeah, and they did it also, remember, without Star, they managed to play this game to that level. With Q, who managed to look pretty good, even though they've just, you know, sort of picked him up and trying to get that synergy in there. I got to give this to the shot calling of PYL. Such a fantastic set of maneuvers that they pulled off, especially in that second game when all looked lost for a little while. So well played to them, but, you know, this is, I hate to say it, that was an amazing match, but this was the least exciting of the two that we've got today. I am so incredibly excited to be casting this next game with you. Invictus versus EDG. Oh, man, but we're going to have to take a quick break, though, aren't we?
Oh, we are indeed. It's going to be about a, 33 minutes until the next game?
Yeah, we're gonna have actually a bit of a long break on that one, so we'll let the commercials run through, and we'll even kick it over to a couple of Twitch commercials. So guys, feel free to use the bathroom, grab some tea, grab some coffee, grab whatever you got to, but do not go anywhere. As when we return in just a little while, we will be watching a rematch of the finals of the LPL Spring. It will be Edward Gaming taking on Invictus Gaming, and this is going to be a fantastic two-set that is going to shatter some records no matter what.
有一点对吧？姿态说他们姿态会用英文来交流，然后你们会用英文来交流吗？
是怎么会？
那你们怎么交流？真的怎么交流？
上就是 go，
上就是 go，
对，退就是败。
我们猜中了啊！大家上次听过我们解说的时候，应该我肯定是 go 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 go。back back back 就是回来，
对，
被我猜中了，因为大家都知道，在圈子里面 UZ 的英文是特别烂的嘛，对吧？Mid push 什么 Don't ask me why 什么乱七八糟的，就我觉得他们也算是体验到了这个国内联赛的一点特色，去面对韩国选手。